Stephen Jones.
Well, looking off to the west with our camera, you can see in the time-lapse plenty of cloud cover across San Angelo today. Unfortunately, no rain for us here in San Angelo. A little bit off towards Mason County and well off towards the east, even some severe thunderstorm warnings going off. But here in the Concho Valley, for most of us, staying dry throughout our Friday. And temperatures got pretty warm into those 90s, Junction even topping out at 100 degrees. Now we're cooling off, 78 degrees here in town, same for Robert Lee. Looks like that cool spot going to be 77 degrees in Sterling City as well as Sonora right now. So about 5 to 6 degrees of spread as you include Menard and Eden at that 83 degree point. And when we're looking at the dew points, this is what we've been talking about earlier. This dry line setup is going to be what could fire off some of those storms going into tomorrow. Dew points off towards the East Brady at 65, a good 30-degree drop towards Sterling City, and then over towards Big Lake in those 30s with relative humidity indices anywhere from the 20s even up into the 50s as you work your way towards the southeast. And over the next 72 hours, that dry line setup is really what we're going to be watching for, like I said, that firing mechanism for those storms tomorrow to break through that cap. And where it sets up is probably where we're going to see some of those storms firing off, and the models could be off by just about 20 miles or so east or west, give or take. And the same situation going to be going into Sunday. Not quite as dynamic as we go into Sunday, but still the dry line setup, watching it pretty closely. Could fire off some storms that could become strong to severe. Main threats could be some of that hail and high winds as they come through. For tonight, mainly off towards the east, like I talked about, over towards Mason County. Brady still in that level 1 out of 5 risk, but most of the weather should be off towards the east and northeast towards the DFW area. Tomorrow it spreads across more of the Concho Valley, potentially that level 2 out of 5, really going through Runnels County, through here in San Angelo, all the way south into Sutton and Kimball County there, and then spreading once again off towards the Metroplex. The further west you go, the worse chances you get as the rain chances go, but could still see a stray shower or storm firing off. And as we go into Sunday, like I said, not quite as dynamic, but still that level 1 out of 5 risk as we still dealing with the dry line, and could see some of those storms try to fire off into Sunday as well. So as we're looking at the current satellite, you can see tornado watch boxes still going off into Arkansas, Tennessee, then up through Kentucky, and then St. Louis, of course, earlier getting hit by that tornado. Thoughts are with them right now. Across the Lone Star State, severe thunderstorm watch off towards the east, not including us here in the Concho Valley. And as we look at that radar, looking earlier today, we had that storm near Mason. Now it's well off towards the east, closer to Austin. That severe thunderstorm warning still going off. Tornado watch is still off towards the northeast, like I talked about, and across the Concho Valley, still picking up just a little bit of those greens, likely not reaching the ground, what's known as Virga out there. So picking it up on the radar, but drying up likely before it hits the ground. And that's going to be the moral of the story as we go through most of these overnight hours. But keep an eye on tomorrow afternoon. Now the models are maybe saying 1, 2 p.m. Some of these cells really starting to fire off. You can see those purples trying to bring in some hail with some of those cells, but the bigger chances are going to be off towards the east and northeast, like I said, especially towards the Metroplex, but still going to be dealing with some of that activity, especially towards our eastern counties. Into Sunday, we could see some more of that action, but right now the models do want to keep most of it at bay, but like I said, that could change pretty quickly going into tomorrow, especially with just the volatility that we're seeing in our atmosphere with that dry line setup. For tonight, under these mostly cloudy skies, not too bad. 67 degrees is what I'm calling here in San Angelo. Winds out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles an hour tomorrow, maybe picking up just a little bit towards 15 miles an hour into the afternoon. And of course, we're on the lookout for some of those isolated showers and storms that could be strong to severe, so just make sure you have ways to get those weather warnings just in case as we go through the day tomorrow especially, and then potentially into Sunday as well. After we get through Monday, things start to dry out. Still warming up pretty hefty there onto Monday, pushing towards that triple-digit mark. Then a nice 10-degree cool down for Tuesday before things start to pick back up through that third week of May, pushing towards the mid-90s for the back half towards Friday. That's going to be all for your